accomplish. But when you say I'm going to, get a car before the end of this year, now you're being specific about what you want to achieve. So if you're coming on Upwork, you've got to be specific about what kind of success you want to see. For me, I told myself after I lear- after a few after I studied, I told myself, look, I'm aiming at making as much as $2,000 on Upwork before the end of December. Now, whether I'll get it or I won't get it is no longer going to bother me, because I already have the belief that I have what it takes to get it. So even if I don't land at the $2,000 mark, I know I might land at probably 1,500 or 1,800. So it is still, it has moved me from just being vague, like I'm going to make it on Upwork, to being specific, because now I've been able to give myself a deadline and a target. So if you believe that you're going to succeed, the next thing you do is to make a decision. So you've got to tell yourself, okay, on Upwork or on any other freelance platform I'm going to enter, I'm going to get so at so time, because your decision should have, number one, it should have a deadline and it should have a timeline. So the deadline is sorry, it should have a deadline and a target. So the deadline is by so time I'm going to get this, and the target is this is exactly what I'm aiming at. If I don't get this, I should be able to fall at 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then after that decision has been made, the next thing is acquisition. Please say it with me. Everybody say acquisition, so I know everybody's here.
Acquisition.
Very good, thank you. So after you've made your decision and all of that, it's called acquisition. Acquisition is like a man that wants to go that wants to go to fight someone, right? You want to fight someone and you know that the person is like 10 feet tall, and you are just saying, I'm going to beat him up. And you've made your decision, which is I'm going to fight him. And so you start moving towards him. But then if you ignore this part, which is the most important part of success in anything apart from Upwork, if you ignore this one, you would probably get beaten and then you will be fed with sand by the man that is 10 feet tall. So acquisition deals with what are the tools you're going to get. What do you need to sharpen if you want to have this battle with whoever you're having this battle with? If you're going to come on Upwork and succeed, what are the tools? Of course, we've learned how to
Hello,
write
Saviour.
copies.
Saviour.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is Richmond. Good evening, everyone.
Okay. Yes, please.
So sorry to cut into your meeting.
Okay.
I was confirming with my team if this was being recorded, and it's as if it's not being recorded. So this is something that even everyone here would need, but not from the beginning, right? Yeah, because the reason why we put this together and put so much energy into it is so that it can be available for as many people who want to have access. We want your value to go as far as possible and change lives. So I don't know, have you gone
Okay.
too far, Saviour? Can you just
I'm
quickly do it?
actually I'm at the fourth slide. Okay, but I can quickly rush through from the second.
So just quickly do
Okay.
just do a quick recap, and then just continue from where you left off. Thank you.
Okay. The outline. We'll go back to the outline. These are things in the outline: an introduction of what we'll be discussing, the mindset hack, creating a profile that speaks, how to scrutinize job posts before sending proposals, how to spot a client's need when reading job descriptions, the basic requirements of a proposal slash cover letter, dissecting proposals. Under dissecting proposals, we'll be looking at some of the proposals I've sent that have gotten me jobs. And then we'll have a summary. And then if we have time, we can do question, maybe like 5 question answer. Then after the outline, I talked about myself, how I struggled to get results as a film writer when I first came into Lagos. After I graduated from film school, I'd lost the contact of everyone. That, in fact, just imagine losing the contact of both your classmates, your lecturers, and everything. So coming back to Lagos was now like a new struggle for me. I started moving around, toured around Alaba to see if I could get movie producers, and some of them were pricing me for a film script of about, let's say, 90 pages. They were pricing me as little as 10,000 naira, which is which is funny. Then after I noticed that despite how much I was moving in and out of Alaba to get producers to want to work with me, they weren't. I now decided that perhaps I should meet some of my friends that are in Lagos that have rich uncles. And when I met most of those people, One of them actually sat me down and told me to forget about making movies and just go start a job, do a 9 to 5. And I actually listened to him. I started learning diction. So I started teaching dictions in schools. Then after that, I sat down and I felt this is not really what it is for me. This is not where I'm going. So I decided to go back and learn again, refresh myself. And then I changed my mindset because I had this belief that, look, I'm not supposed to be at this point in my life. I'm supposed to be somewhere. And so I started training myself as regards where I'm going. Then I started meeting people that were of value. And as it is now, I am at the point where I usually reject script jobs on as per movies. Then I said the lesson that I learned basically from it is that life is basically what you give is what you get. Okay, and that most people make the mistake of thinking the online world and the offline world are two entirely different things, but they are similar because the life you live, or the belief system, let's use the word, the belief system you have in the offline world is what will affect your productivity in the online world. For instance, the person that is busy posting uh, himself or herself with cars that are so expensive, but that hasn't even eaten for that day in real life, or hasn't even done, probably lives in a face me, I face you, where, like 10 people are struggling to go to the toilet. There's no real difference between the two of them. What happened is the in the real life, the person actually has tenets of being a liar. So in the amplified world, which is the online world, the person actually exhibits what he's capable of doing in the real life. So it's basically his belief system that is working in the online world. So your belief system actually affects the kind of results you get when you come to Upwork or when you come to any of these freelance platforms. If you believe you're going to succeed, if it becomes a part of your act, your print, your what's the word? If it becomes a part of you that you're going to succeed regardless, you will definitely succeed. But if you are in this because you're thinking, if you're in this because you're thinking, you know what, I've heard people are succeeding, I've heard people are, I've seen testimonials, and you're just being motivated, you might not really succeed because what you're doing is you're judging what would happen to you based on what has happened to someone else. You're not really at that point where you have like confidence in yourself that you succeed. Your confidence is based off what you've seen other people doing, not based off your personal evaluation of yourself. Hello, everyone. Is everyone here? Please, if you're here,
We're
say
here,
hi.
Saviour.
Yeah.
We are hearing you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Hi.
I'm just being because of the network. Okay, thank you. Then after this, we went to the next one, which was mindset hack. And I said mindset hack. First of all, I believe in one thing. Before you build a house, you have to get the foundation right. Otherwise, it probably collapse. So I have six basic steps that I believe that I've practiced in most of the things I do that usually makes me succeed. And the first one is belief. And I've talked about belief. I said there's a difference between belief and motivation. When you're motivated to do something and when you actually do something because you want to do something, there's a big difference. It's more or less like when you're compelled to do something and when you do something because you want to do something. You always see the big difference between the two. So if you want to succeed on Upwork, it has to go from the fact that, look, man, I saw Saviour got 5 gigs, so I have to get 5 gigs, or I saw somebody make as much as $10,000 on Upwork, so I want to make as much as 10,000. Those are valid reasons, but it has to be a case of you. Why do you want to make that much? What exactly are you trying to do on Upwork? What exactly do you want to? What value do you really want to give on Upwork? And why do you want to give the kind of value you want to give on Upwork? So it has to be more or less like not because you're compelled by what you're seeing, but because you really want to succeed. Because if you're compelled by what you're seeing, chances are if you don't get that result in 5, 6, 7 months, you probably walk out. You get tired, you get exhausted, you feel like, man, maybe grace they work for some people, I know they work for me. But the Bible itself says that God has given the grace, not is the word is the grace and not a measure of grace. So everyone has grace. So the question is, do you believe you can succeed? Not because you're compelled to, not because you see people. succeeding, but personally, do you believe you can succeed? If you believe you can succeed, then the next thing is you have to make the decision. All right, the decision is, look, I believe I can succeed. I've seen people succeeding. I am going to succeed. And that decision is more or less like you have told yourself, I'm going to take actions necessary to succeed. And the actions necessary to succeed are in number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Number 3 is that you have to do what they call acquisition. Acquisition, the Bible says, study to show yourself approved. So you have to be interested in gaining knowledge. You've got to be interested in gaining as much knowledge as you want to succeed. And I'm glad that we are in FCube, where almost all the knowledge you might need to make it on Upwork has been provided. But you've got to go extra miles. You've got to study other materials. What I do is I follow like a whole lot of big time copywriters on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I also read, like, per day, if you see the number of books I'm reading on copywriting and the psychology of selling and all of that. So you've got to acquire as much knowledge as you can to actually get your belief into reality. And then after you've gotten as much knowledge as you can, if you're on Upwork or if you're as a freelancer or in any other, let's say you're trying to start up a company or something, you've got to get the team. That one is not really about freelancing now. And then you also have to have a plan. So for the acquisition stage, the first thing you need to do is get the knowledge right, because if you can't get as much knowledge as you're supposed to get when working as a freelancer or as anything, you're probably going to be at the point where you are lost. And if you're lost, then it's the next thing is you probably give up on this pursuit. So you need the knowledge and you need the plan. So what's the plan? We'll talk about the plan later. Then the next thing is activation. After you have your belief and you've made your decision and you've acquired as much knowledge as possible and you've come up with a plan, then get to work. Getting to work is more or less like, look, man, I believe I'm going to succeed. I've acquired the knowledge. All right, let me start sending as much proposals as I can. But there is a rule to activation, and as the course progresses, I'm going to talk about that one. And then the next thing is evaluation. Evaluation means after you've done all of this, if you try it for the first 1 month and you're not really succeeding, you have to go back and evaluate, what am I not doing right? And then after you've evaluated, you sharpen up your tools, and then you repeat the same process again: decision, acquisition, activation, evaluation. So it just goes round and round and round. And that's it for this part. Then let's go to the next one: creating a profile that speaks. Everybody, could you please repeat after me? Creating a profile that speaks.
Creating a profile that speaks.
I'm only hearing the lady's voice. What happened to the guys?
Creating a profile that speaks.
Now I feel like the choir is moving to the permanent side. Please, we don't really have much time. The will come later. Okay, so creating a profile that speaks. One of the big lessons I learned from my film movement, the journey, was that one of the reasons they were not really listening to me was because I really didn't have a profile. Of course, I had learned about script writing, but I didn't have anything to prove to anyone that I was a script writer. I had not written scripts as much as I should have. I was just going to them. The first time I was going to them to tell them, look, I'm a script writer, I want to write for you. And they will ask you, do you have script writing jobs that you've done before? And most of them would ask you, have you produced any particular one? Has any of your script been produced and currently airing on movies, on televisions rather? And I didn't have answers to that. So I didn't have a profile. So while I was blaming these people for not seeing my talent or not believing in me, I was actually at fault because I wasn't creating a profile that they should believe in. So let's say, for instance, you want to start up the company, which is what happens most times in Nigeria. You see a lot of people saying, I have a business plan, I have a business idea, but nobody's actually helping me. But the problem is, rich men don't invest in ideas that are not really. Of course, you have an idea, like there are 10 people that have the same ideas, but what separates you from the 10 people is the fact that you're able to work on that idea and create a profile for yourself out of that idea. It doesn't have to be so big, but the very fact that you've taken the first few steps to create a profile based on the idea you have, it makes you stand out. So on Upwork and as freelancers, we've got to start focusing on creating amazing profiles. And I thank God that Coach Richmond has taken it upon himself to give us ideas and to, help us create profiles and all of that. So instead of speaking much about this, I'll leave that to um, the the bosses at FCube. Now, this is the main part. I know this is what everybody has been waiting for. How to scrutinize job posts and identify clients' need. Because if you don't know what the client wants, really wants in the job post that the client um, that you saw, you might not really know what to write in your proposal. And you might be writing a very good thing in your proposal, but you might be hitting a miss. So how do we really know what the client wants in the job post that you're seeing on Upwork? The first thing that coach taught us was that we should check if the thing is verified, if we should check the number of proposals before we submit. We should also check the duration. Is it 24 hours? If it's gone beyond 24 hours, we have to be careful about submitting proposals, which is for you as a freelancer if you want to submit proposals. Then for you as a freelancer, if you want to understand and probably get it right with your proposal, you've got to go a bit beyond this. You have to focus on what exactly is not being said in this job post that this client actually needs. And most clients, they usually I guess maybe it's because I write scripts a lot, and I write a lot of dialogue, so it's usually easy for me to know what is not being said, but what the person is trying to say, but it's not really saying it. So the first thing you need to do when you look at a job post, when you read the brief, especially those ones with 4, 5, 6 paragraphs, in each paragraph there is a particular thing that the person is trying to say with the words, with the choices of his words. So if you're able to identify what exactly that need is, what the problem is that this person is trying to get solution for, you will most times come top when you send your proposals. For instance, a person might write, I need a blog post I need a content writer for a blog post. And then the person gives you the requirements, has to be SEO, this has to be this, that. Amongst all these things that the person is saying, if you're able to summarize all these things the person has put in his brief, you get to understand what this person needs. Because usually the problem that the person wants to address with the blog content writer's skill is one, but it is usually spread in such a way that you have options of thinking that there are many things this person needs. What the person might really need might be just that first thing he wrote, the SEO friendly, whatever. Or it might be something else, probably a creative writer, someone that is able to bring storytelling technique into this blog post. So what you need to do is focus on and try to find out the exact thing that this person needs, instead of just looking at all of it and then just jam packing, which I used to do before. Just pack up all the things that the person said and just hit it, pack everything and keep there and say, look, man, I'm going to give you this because this is what you said. Usually when there was a time when that used to work, but now I've noticed that most clients are usually they expect uniqueness in the proposal you're sending. And for your proposal to be unique, you have to know what the person really, really wants. And then the way to do that is to read the job post. Then please, I noticed this the first time, and before I noticed it, I'd already sent I think 15 proposals out. One-liner proposals, one-liner job post where the person just writes content writer needed, full stop, or graphic designer needed, full stop. Most times, chances are out of let's say usually 70% of the time, these people that you see with those one-liner stuffs are not really ready to get any freelancer at the moment. Sometimes they just put that to, I don't know, maybe to check their account if it is still working or something. So one-liners, I don't usually submit proposals to one-liners kind of job posts, because if the person cannot give you enough, I feel that every freelancer is valuable, right? And every freelancer has something to offer. So if the person that is putting the job post out there, the person that has the problem, is not smart enough or does not value the freelancer enough to want to tell him what he's expecting, then the freelancer should also give value to himself, as not to start, rushing after those kind of jobs. This is just basically my opinion. But whenever I see one liners, I usually ignore them, except in the one liner, the actual need or the actual problem that the client is facing is written there. But if I just see a one liner like content writer needed, I ignore, because I feel like, look, this man is not being specific of what he wants. What kind of content writer does he need? Does he need a creative content writer, or does he need a salesperson kind of content writer, or is he just looking for a content writer that will just write a formal stuff for him? Because most of these clients, they usually want specific things. So that is the first way to scrutinize your job post. So after you've checked all these things, number one, check that it's verified, check the number of proposals submitted, understand what the person really needs in the job post. The next thing to do is, in your proposal, the basic requirements of your proposal. Number one, you have to show the person that you understand the specific need. Please take note, I did not say the general need now. The general need that could be posted could be content writer needed for marketing, blah, blah, blah. But the specific need could be not just any kind of content writer, but a content writer that can give me, or that can give me the guarantee that I'll sell as much as 50% or 60% of my products. But that was not stated in the job brief. But if you read through the brief itself, and if you've gotten those laser beam eyes, you'll be able to notice that that is probably what this person needs. For someone like a graphic designer, a graphic design kind of job post could be graphic designer that is good with Adobe, Photoshop, and all of that needed. But what the person might really be looking for might not necessarily be that you are an expert in the Adobe Photoshop. It might be something specific. So if you're able to identify what that person truly needs, it becomes easier for you. And the first thing you need to do when you're writing your proposal, which I have practiced a lot, is I speak from the point that, look, man, I understand what you really need, and I can give it to you. And when I start looking at when I start dissecting some of the proposals, you see it. Then the second thing is, you have to show the person that you can solve his problems, but not from a vague perspective. And the vague perspective could be, I'll listen to your stuff, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll solve your problem. But being specific, you've got to tell the person, okay, when I start this job, I'm going to start for you. Since I already understand that what you need, probably what you need is you need retention. You want a lot of, like, for someone that is having a YouTube video, the person probably needs people to constantly be on his, constantly subscribe. And then another person might just want for people to come watch a video and then click a button and get to buy whatever the person is selling. So if you've understood one of those two things I've said, then the next thing is to show the person that you've understood it. So your letter for such a person that might need a YouTube video script might be, if the person's need, which you've come to understand, is audience retention, then your letter should be specific towards that angle. I can help you get so percentage in terms of audience retention. Or if the person's need is sales, then your proposal letter could then be, I can help you get so percentage sales. If the person needs a graphic designer that can, for sometimes what these people usually need when they post jobs for graphic designers, they are not actually looking at someone that is of course is needed that you should be an expert, but most times what they are looking for is someone that can give them their job, most times before deadlines. So if you look at the job post and you see that the person is saying the word urgently, or the person is saying needed immediately, or some whatever those words are that shows the importance of timing, then also set your tone, the tone of your proposal letter, that in such a way that you're showing you can actually accomplish that task. Then after you're done with the fact that you understand the job in your proposal, and with the fact that you can actually solve the person's needs with steps which you're going to write, the next thing is you have to tell the person why he should pick you. And telling the person why he should pick you, if you're just going with the word I'm a copywriter, come on, everybody's a copywriter these days. What separates you? Or you tell the person I'm a graphic designer. Okay, so you're a graphic designer. There are over like 100,000 graphic designers here. So why should I pick you? So you've got to then. This is where you show the person what separates you. But you can't show the person what separates you if you forgot the stage of acquisition of knowledge. Because what I normally do, like the two jobs I've gotten as a content writer for blog post, and one that I got as a screenwriter, I was able to specifically say what I was doing and what I had been doing in the past that made me qualify for this job, that separated me from the number of people that are applying for the job. And when we get to the proposal aspect, we'll look at that. Then after that, you have to prove. So you don't just say that you are good at it. You also have to prove that you are good at it. And then after that, you have to give a strong call to action. So let's move as fast as we can to dissecting proposals. So for us to dissect proposals, I'm going to put my proposal here for us to see. I hope the network has not cut me off. Please, if you can hear me, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, all right. Okay, and you can see my screen, right?
We can see. I can see.
Okay, so let's look at this proposal letter here. Hi, Kyle. Let's tell inspiring
Hi, go ahead.
stories. Okay, hi Kyle. Let's tell inspiring stories that will influence society positively. When I read this job post, what the person posted, what this Kyle posted was he needs a content writer that would write stories for his I think it was his podcast. He needs content writer that will write stories for his podcast. It was not specific as to what he was looking for. But when I started to read through his job post, I noticed there was a time in that job post where he was sort of saying that he's actually looking for content writers that are not just focused on getting the gig because of the money. But he was not saying he needs influencing society positively and all of that. But I was able to deduce from what he was saying in that job post that this man, the reason he's probably looking for this podcast script writer is probably because whatever he's doing might be more or less like an NGO where he's not really profiting from. So for him to make this kind of statement, he's probably making this kind of statement because he's hoping that whoever comes to partner with him or whoever is going to write with him has that same mindset. And that was why I was able to then craft stories that will influence society positively, because I felt it will sort of tally with what this person needs. And then without saying, hi, I've seen your proposal and all of that, because I felt as people are advancing, that's what most people would probably say. I decided to speak to him, speak to his personality. So I said, the world's saturated with bad news from all corners. You agree with me that people need inspiring stories to soothe the hurt the bad news keeps inflicting on their minds. We need to inspire hope in people. Why did I put this? We need to inspire hope in people because I had seen in his proposal that he was not looking for someone that would just come for the money. And if a client is telling you he's not looking for someone that will just come do the job and be in a hurry to get the money, it means whatever the client is probably trying to do, he's trying to do it with a partner that has a like mind with him. So this first paragraph here was to show the partner, was to show the client that I had the same kind of mind he probably has. And then the next thing, you noticed after I said all of this, that was when I went as long as putting, I read your brief and I was inspired. I wasn't really inspired by his brief. But somehow I felt if I'm going to get this person, I have to show him that I'm actually tallying along with him. And then I wrote, I'm inspired, so I'd like to collaborate with you. Notice the terms I used. I didn't say I would like to, I didn't say for this person, I didn't say I would like to write your content. I was specific because I noticed that he said that he's looking for a content writer that is not after the money. So I knew that the right way to go with it, with this kind of proposal, was to show him that I am not after the money, but I am after partnership with him. So I wrote, I would like to collaborate with you on this project. Then after saying that, I gave him a brief of who I am and what I do in this place. I try to make it as little as possible because I like to be brief with my bio. So I told him the reason I think I can solve this problem he is facing is because I'm a screenwriter, novelist, copywriter. Not just that, but I understand. This is where when I was speaking with him on a Zoom call, this is what he told me that made him pick me. He said, "This part, I am a screenwriter, novelist, and copywriter who understands the influence of storytelling. Sorry, who understands the influence storytelling wields on a society." He said it was this particular line that made him pick. Okay, so remember I said, first of all, show the person you understand his problem. The second thing is show the person you can solve his problem with steps. This part, you can see the steps. You give me, here's how we'll handle this project together. You give me tasks, I'll conduct research, I'll draft the story of the person in a way it compels listeners to get emotionally engaged, because he mentioned that he wants a content writer that can write compelling copies for him. So this was the importance of this part, getting the people emotionally engaged. Then I also wrote that will end. Remember, I noticed something. I did not write in this last part, I did not write I'll end. I wrote will end. And when a client sees will, it usually tells that client that, okay, this person is the kind of freelancer that would be open to suggestions and would be willing to incorporate feedbacks into his copy. So that was why I put the word will instead of I'll. So most times it is important how you end all the proposed solutions to his problems. It's important how you end it. Then after that, I wrote, how soon can we get started with this movement for positive change in society? I did not write, how soon can we get started with this project? If I wrote that, it would have given this man the mindset that I'm probably after the money. So what I did was, how soon can we start with this movement for positive change in society? Then I was standing by for a quick response. And when I did that, you can see what he wrote. This sounds great, and I think. And funny enough, here's the amazing thing, guys. This particular person that said he's not looking for someone that is after the money, for a 2-page, for a 1,000 to 1,500, for a 1,000 to 1,500 word story. When we had that Zoom call, he was able to pay me as much as $250 for a 1,000 word story. And here's the thing, it's not me. I'm not the one that will be creating the story for him. He already had a story and he was just looking for someone to help him pen it down. So I wasn't really doing much work. But because I was able to appeal to his personality, I was able to understand what he needs. And I was able to tell it to explain to him that I understood in a subtle manner, instead of just throwing myself out there as a creative writer. He was able to pay. And here's the thing, the job was for $10 per hour to $15 per hour. My profile, I'm at $25 per hour. And I applied for this particular job that was written by a client that said he's not looking for a writer that is after money. But the proposal was able to convince him enough to do. Actually, I spent only 2 hours writing the story, but I was able to convince him, and he was able to pay me as much as $250 for this kind of story, which would not have been possible if I had put my leg out as a copywriter that just needs a job. So the first thing you have to do in your proposal is to make sure it does not show that you are desperate. Make sure it doesn't show you're desperate. Make sure it shows that you have value and that you know what you're doing. And then make sure it shows to the client that you are empathizing with him. You know his problem. You understand the problem. You understand what the problem would what the problem is costing him as a client, and you are in the need. You are actually ready to solve that problem without coming across as someone that wants to solve the problem because he needs a job. Because most proposal letters that I've noticed usually give out a voice that says, look man, I need this job, I want this job, please give me this job. And so if you, for instance, let's look at this. If you're a lady and a guy comes to you and says, look, I'm handsome, look, I'm intelligent, look, I can give you the life you want, you would probably think the guy is arrogant. And that's how most proposal letters sound. And if another guy comes to you with all the neediness, look, I need you in my life. Without you, I cannot survive. You probably feel like you're choked. So but you would resonate more with a guy that is able to make you see your need without, blatantly pointing it out in your face, and someone that is able to connect with you on an entirely different level. And of course, somebody that is not really, oh, Jesus Christ. So and if the guy comes across as someone that just needs your body, even if you're going to give him your body, you probably just give him for the time being because you're just trying to catch fun. You will not get into any connections with such person for a long time. So that is basically how a proposal sound. So you might send a proposal to someone, and your proposal is coming off as arrogant. When you use the I know this, I know that, I know this, I know that, you might send the proposal to someone and it comes across as needy when you stating in the proposal that you are actually in need of this job, you want this job, but you're not telling the person what you can offer the person. And then your proposal can come out as perfect if you're able to empathize with the client and you're able to show yourself a bit that, look, you are good at this, but you're making your proposal more focused on the fact that you want to deliver value to the person. Okay. And then I think that's almost everything that I have on proposals. And this particular guy, guys, this Kyle guy, we are currently the way we had a conversation on the Zoom call yesterday. I think I posted when he paid the first half. He's currently paid the second half. So when I posted it, the way we had our conversation, because of that, this is the guy I told you that was, I think I posted on that group, that was talking to me about his family, about his children. Why? Because he felt from one simple proposal letter that I'm somebody that he would like to collaborate with on his project. And he started asking me questions about how, because he wanted to start the podcast, so he started asking me questions on how we should get it started, telling me that after this proposal, after this podcast has gotten to a level, he will put me in a point where I share royalty with him, and that I'll be in charge of like a whole lot of things. And then I got to understand that usually most of these white clients, I didn't say all because there are some that are weary, that most of these clients, they are looking for freelancers that are not really just freelancers because they want to make money, but freelancers that are freelancers because they want to give value. And you can't give value if you don't study, if you don't improve yourself. I think with this, I'm going to open the floor for observations, questions, and all of that. Thank you.
Governor, be humble.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Thank you. I go call you. You still there on this your EFCC matter? I tell you, say I don't buy them beer. All of them, they my house. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't submit samples. I didn't submit samples. Myself I'm sometimes I'm like, okay, so what happens here is I craft. If I look at the job post, okay, and I know that for this particular job post I don't have a sample that I can send. In some cases, if I have a sample that I can send you, if I don't have a sample that I can send, I have to sell myself to this person in such a way that this person might not be so bothered about samples. If you noticed in one of the gigs I posted, you saw where the person said, I don't need to set a test for you. Very good. Okay, and that person ended up doing, the person wanted to do just one job, but after I delivered the person, we ended up doing he added 4 different milestones to it, which I think I'm on the last milestone now. So if you don't have a sample to send, that's why I said identify the need, the problem, and then elaborate. Yes, make yourself the go-to person for that, for the solution of that problem. So if you don't have, I would suggest you have samples, but in case you don't have and the job post is like now after this period is probably going to be off and you have been looking for job posts and you couldn't see, then sell yourself in such a way that if you notice in those contents that I didn't have proposals for, I didn't start it with I understand. I started it in a way that I would start a blog post, and I started it in a way that I would start a story. Yes, exactly. The catchy title, the opening. So if you don't have, sell yourself. Show the person. If you don't have a blog sample in that niche, show yourself as someone that can write it by making your cover letter seem to have that quality. Yeah, yeah. How I got Kyle's name? Okay, how I got Kyle's name? I think yes. Okay, so the way I identified Kyle was I went to I can't say which of them. There was one I didn't write. I wrote dear client, and then later we started chatting, and I was calling his name. For that one, I searched for his name on the client history. None of the freelancers was kind enough to mention his name. They were just saying great talent around that. So I followed with clients. Then for others, I searched and I saw their names, so I used it. So if you need the names, just go to the client's history. You'll find it there.
All right. Sorry to interrupt, Bob.
Hey, boss himself. Oh, it's supposed to give you glory, man.
Now you're supposed to carry all the glory, man. Like this now you be on track. Let's have some of us come to class for you like this as coach Saviour.
I'm honored. Thank you.
And you don't just be coach, you got to be Saviour on top with the head leader.
You go, Saviour.
Okay, so now Ingo saved Africa. Nigeria too small.
Africa won't say.
Okay, so let me quickly say something. So as for getting the names, I'll just chip in that, but I have a question. Susan Emmanuel, forgive me, and you asked a question. So as per getting the client's name, you go to the client's history, right? You just scroll down, and then you get feedback. Feedback like Saviour Bob does a job with Kyle. He also does feedback and say Kyle was great working with. So the moment you see the freelancer's feedback, usually the freelancer's feedback comes directly above the client's own feedback of the freelancer. So if there is no freelancer feedback, you now see Kyle will now go ahead and give a feedback on that particular client. So sometimes the freelancers will not mention the name. I'm sure many of us know these things already, but it's just a repetition. All right, so that's how you get the client's name. So, but there's a part of proposal submission that I want you to touch, Saviour. Okay. So before you got your first gig, how many proposals did you submit?
Well, my first gig, I got my first. Okay, I was supposed to tell you this story, but I didn't. Forgot. Thank you for reminding me. So my first proposal that I sent, I didn't get a gig. I sent 5. That was during the class when we were still in class. So I got 1.
5.
I sent 5
still in class. Great.
while I was still in class, and I got 1. Then after that one, you would expect that I'll get gigs, right? But I didn't
Yeah.
get. I sent. I think I sent 15.
Awesome.
I sent 15. I didn't get one gig until I said, okay, look, I think I need to go and brush up. Then I started. I registered for a class, and then I went online. I started reading up on a whole lot of things.
Awesome. Okay. So I intentionally asked that question because right from when we've been talking, working on the outline and all that, I had it in mind that this is one area where I would like you to pour energy on, because
Okay.
many times people think that they are not getting gigs because they have done all they should do. Meanwhile, they don't even know that the person who got one gig has probably exhausted his own
Yes.
connects. And so you see someone who still has maybe about 80 connects and is saying, I don't have gigs. But the person who has one gig probably has even used up to 30 connects and is probably at 70 connects before he got a gig. So imagine that you have submitted 15 proposals. We know that the least connects you need per proposal is 2. So it means you've
It's
got
2.
30 connects.
30 proposals. No,
You
not
not
even
even
30. I
got.
think it's up to 40, 48.
I said the least you can
Okay,
use
the
per
list.
proposal is 2. And we know that some are 3 connects, some are 4 connects, and so on. So, but calculating with the least, 2 times 15 is 30 already.
Yeah.
You see? So you burnt about 40 something proposal, and this might just be the deliverance that some people need here. Because some people are in that place where they've submitted maybe like 5 proposals and nothing happened, and they are waiting on those 5 proposals until the jobs are gone, and then they just realize, it's not working, what will I do? Meanwhile, somebody is sending proposal like no man's business. So sometimes you even shared something today that I said, yes, this is what I'm talking about. It was when you said this proposal you had submitted it 4 days ago. I was like,
Yeah.
you see, it's not even very new. It's not like you submitted that proposal yesterday. You submitted it 4 days ago. So it means that you probably have moved on from that proposal before he even came back to call on you to say, hey,
Yes.
I saw your proposal. So I'm just sharing this because I feel it's important that everybody also knows that while someone is busy celebrating gigs, there might be a lot of on the ground work that is ongoing that you are not, that you may not even have the mind to go for. So if you calculate the totality of all your proposals on Upwork, it's probably just 10, and you're feeling like, no gig yet. Meanwhile, this person has sent almost 20 proposals, and out of 20, you're celebrating like 2 gigs or 3 gigs, you know? And it's important we all get to that point where you know that you have to keep submitting. So even at FCube, we have a principle. So, and here's the principle. If we want 300 students in a class, guess how many people we target? Who can guess?
Say 3,000.
We target nothing less than 3,000 people, nothing less. And usually we still would not get 300 people from 3,000. So we put a lot of money into marketing. We market to over 3,000 people because we have a target of 300 people. So if you want one proposal, it means that you have to probably submit 10 proposals. So we follow the rule of 1/10. We follow the rule of
Yeah.
1/10. So what is 1/10 of 3,000? That's 300. So we say multiply 300 by 10, and that will give us 3,000. So we target 3,000. So if we want to get 5 gigs, what are we going to do? We do 50
50.
proposals. That's the mindset you should start working with. You have to get to the point where you know that this is, I have to do the principle of 1/10. For every 1 gig I'm looking for, I will submit 10 proposals. For every 2 gig I'm looking for, I will submit 20 proposals. This might just be the deliverance that will make you not give up on time, so that you don't submit 3 proposals, 5 proposals, and then you give up. You don't, and you know why you can even give up on 5 proposals is that you submit 5 proposals And then by the time you submit 5 proposals, you are waiting for a response. You're waiting for a response. And you're not even able to submit another proposal because the ones I've submitted, I'm not getting anything. And so it's weighing you down and it's discouraging you. So let this be your breaking point where you know, okay, I've gotten a new skill. I can rabble rouse my audience with this proposal. But even though it feels like the magic, you still have to drop a lot of proposals because there are many factors to not selecting someone. Somebody can drop a gig on Upwork. I've said this before and die the next day. And there will be 50 proposals in the person waiting for the person. And then you see 50 proposals submitted, no one being interviewed, and you are busy waiting for a dead person. It's possible. And then you feel like it's because your luck is not shining. But something else has happened to the person. Somebody can drop a gig on Upwork and is busy with, so just imagine someone like Coach Richmond who is very busy. And he probably dropped something and said, oh, I'll check back this. But a lot of other activities has taken his attention, only for him to come back 2 weeks' time and say, oh, there are so many proposals. In fact, I don't have time. Let me just pick, and he just reads the first three and picks someone. Meanwhile, there are about 50 proposals that he won't see. So he's not going to sit down and start saying, my new job is to be vetting proposals. Do you see? So why the person is not going to sit down and start vetting proposals because there are a lot of proposals, he start consuming. So the time the person even uses to vet proposal can be enough for the person to even get on the job and do it. So is it even possible that they will not even see your proposal because there is so much. So by the time they read the first three, the first four, they pick somebody. So what do? Keep dropping proposals in as many places. It's what Jesus calls casting your nets. In many ways, you cast your nets across many waters. You just cast your net so wide and far because it says you should keep sowing. You don't know the one that would bring about the harvest in the long run.
Exactly.
So I thought to share that. Thank you so much, Saviour.
Exactly.
So
That's actually what I do most times. So I have this policy. As soon as I send a proposal, I get my mind off it and I look for the next one to send to. So sometimes in a day I could send 5, in a day I could send 4. But I'm also, as much as I believe in doing that, I also think you should also be selective of the kind of proposal, of the kind of job posts that you send your proposals to. Make the odds to be in your favor. So if you're sending 5 per day or 10 per day, you're sending it to the ones that can fit into the standard that you set for yourself. So set a standard for yourself of what kind of jobs you're going to be sending proposals to, so that when you see those kind of jobs, you can identify them and you can send. And the moment you send to them, you forget about it, you move to the next one.
Awesome. Thank you, Saviour. Well done. So, Coca, go on with the questions. I see more people have questions to ask.
Governor, they don't catch you. Is our governor sleeping?
I hope he knows that he is muted.
Maybe he's speaking.
Can Latifa please help him out if Olumiwa is not available, please?
Okay. Um, I actually left the meeting, so I don't have much here. So Mikhail is saying, I still wonder how people submit proposals within 5 minutes of clients posting a job. Is that how fast people write? I think he's just making a comment. Oyedeji Siak said he has a question, but he's here to type his question out.
I prefer saying it because I can't type. My question is long.
Okay, you can't express yourself by writing. So I think you have
Can
a
I
question.
ask? Can I ask verbally?
Yes, you
Okay.
can.
Okay. Oh, okay, okay. Good evening, Saviour. Firstly, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, boss.
Secondly, from Coach Richmond, who has taught us, to Coach Michael,
Emmanuel.
and Coach Emmanuel also, and on to you. Most of you have this writing skill maybe for a long time, even when you don't think you can use it, but you have been having all this writing whatever from some time. But somebody like us or somebody like me, I call it in Yoruba atonriwa. You just branch and see, what are they doing there. So mo gbọ́, mo branch and we are just trying to learn. What advice can you give us, couple with what Ambassador Younger said, writing five
Okay.
proposal and be expecting things like that. So,
Okay.
what advice can you give to people like us that you are just starting, mainly copywriting? In fact, before
Okay.
I started this, I've been to IT, learning a lot of things. So, so that's my question. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Oyedeji. Um, what I think this question, the answer to this question goes back to what I said from the onset. Belief, decision, and acquisition, and I'll tell you how it works. When I was growing up, I used to think that the whole idea of selling was just for a particular group of people. I used to think it was just for a skilled set of people. So whenever it came to selling, I always had this mindset of shying away from it. But then I realized that as much as I was a good creative writer and I was writing scripts, one of the reasons these guys were not really buying my script was because I was not selling it properly. And when I say selling it properly, I mean I was not I was not presenting this stuff I was presenting to them the right way. And I didn't have any idea of sales. Now I told you I was not really a talented salesperson. I was always running away from it because I could try to sell you a phone for 3 hours and you just be nodding your head and then you tell me, my brother, I want to go sleep. But then I got to understand that if you must succeed in anything you're doing in this life, you need it. In fact, you just have to know how to sell. And when I say you have to know how to sell, if you're if you're offering a service, in both, I like to say offline and online, you've just got to know how to sell. And if you don't know how to sell, you have to know how to learn how to sell. In other words, you're a copywriter, right? On Upwork, and you're probably doing a business in the real world. Okay, you're probably doing a business in the real world. If you need clients for your business, you've got to put yourself out there, and not just putting yourself out there just like that. You've got to put yourself out there in the right way. So the answer to this question is, as much as the the people think talent is everything, and so if you're talented, you're going to succeed excellently. There are hundreds of people, thousands of people that have talent that are not succeeding, and there are those that don't have talent that are succeeding in places where these people that have the talent should be succeeding. What I would suggest is, like I said, study in those aspects you are weak at. Those aspects that you feel like, look, man, I'm not really good at this aspects. Study those aspects. Get as much knowledge as you can on how to get better at those aspects. I never knew how to write. I never knew how to write a copy. I was only good at writing stories. If you come to story, I can write. But if you come to writing something to sell to someone, I was always running away from it because I never knew about it. But if I tell you how many books and how many classes I've gotten myself into, and these are not free classes, paid classes that I've paid for. I think if I'm going to talk about how much I've spent as per training myself on this between when I started FCube to now, I think I've spent as much as 180,000 on trainings from different classes. So why was I training myself and why am I still in these classes and reading all of these books? Because I know at this point I'm not so talented at this point, so I would need to get the knowledge. Because even if you're not talented, there are people that have gone ahead of you that have dropped steps that you can easily emulate. So in these cases, you can copy what you've learned from these people and you use it to do what you're doing. So my suggestion for this question is, if you're not seeing yourself as someone that's talented, then you've got to do what Ronaldo does. He works hard and hard and hard to make sure that he comes top, meaning you have to study. You can register for classes, etc. That's what I would suggest. Because I don't believe in because I'm talented, I'm going to succeed. I believe in because I'm smart, I'm willing to learn, I'm going to succeed. That's what I believe in. I think that's the answer I have for that question.
Thank you very much.
All right, Saviour, thank you for that question. Okay, yeah. All right, Oyedeji, I'll just add to that because I'd wanted to answer the question on behalf of Saviour, but thank God he was up and doing to it. But
Thank you,
I'll just
Ambassador.
add to it for the benefit. Yeah, you're welcome, Oyedeji. For the benefit of everyone, there's a journey or a pathway to mastery. And if you can pen this down, it will help you a lot. So everything that you do has everything to do with your mind. So here is what it is. The first stage of learning or the journey to mastery is called unconscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence. Now, what does it mean? That's UI, unconscious incompetence. This is the stage where you don't know that you don't know. I repeat, you don't know that you don't know. That's stage one. Please write it down. I will show you how it revolves. Now, at the stage where you don't know that you don't know, because you are unconscious about your incompetence, you now branch to the party. You now say, oh, wow, there's something like copywriting. I don't know this thing. What just happened? You've opened a light bulb, a new place in your mind that says, I don't know this thing. Before you got here, you see, there was something that happened. I think it was in cohort 2, when we're beginning to break down copies, especially landing page. Some people now say, hey, now I saw the secret how FCube sold to us. And I started laughing. You know why? Because they saw the tool that we used. If you get to landing page, you will see everything that we did when we were selling to you. So it's a script, it's a formula for selling. And if you understand the formula, you now say, oh, this is what FCube is using. Now, before you realize that thing, you did not know that you don't know. To you, you just saw that you bought, but you don't know that there was a script that was played to leading you to buy. So now you know, you now say, oh, I don't know this thing before. You are now realizing that you don't know. So you've left that stage one, where you are unconscious incompetent, that you are not aware that you don't know. You've entered a new level. Now you are conscious of your incompetence. Before, you are unconscious of your incompetence. Now you are conscious of your incompetence. At the level where you are now conscious of your incompetence, this is where some people can now begin to give up. Somebody like Oyedeji can now say, Saviour Bob has been writing since. This thing, I don't know it. They've gone far. I just realized that this thing, I don't know it. And what will you do? Some people will just give up and go and sleep at that point and say, it's not meant for me. I don't have what it takes. Brother, no. Now, this is the point where you have to intentionally move to stage 3. And where is stage 3? Stage 3 is conscious competence. You now become like Saviour Bob. When he got his 5th gig, he said something in the group that made me smile. I called Coach Richmond immediately and I said, are you seeing what's going on? And we laughed about it. And I told him, Saviour Bob said, I just cracked the code. You see? And that is to say that I have studied this proposal template I'm submitting and I'm seeing that it's working. So now that he has cracked the code at the stage of conscious competence, but before he left from conscious incompetence to conscious competence, this is what happened. He began to ask questions. How do I know? And that is what you are doing now, Oyedeji. People like us, what will you advise us? You will get to a point, you will also be answering this question for someone else. But something must happen in between conscious incompetence to conscious competence. And that thing is called consistency. You have to continue asking these questions. You have to stay hungry. You have to stay hungry. You have to stay hungry. And staying hungry means that you will pay for courses. You will jump into Hangouts because if your Bob is speaking, even though he's your classmate, you will be doing. Now, there are some of your friends who know nothing about copywriting. If you sit on the table with them, you will daze them at your level now. So stay hungry, stay hungry. Guess what? It's called saturation. It's called immersion. You get so immersed to the point that you become that thing. But if you give up, you will not get to that point. So when you get to conscious competence, where Saviour Bob is now, you now begin to grow. You get to another level where Coach Richmond is. Saviour Bob is still testing the waters. He has not gotten to the level where Coach Richmond is. That's why Coach Richmond can be relaxed to allow Saviour Bob to take the shine, because he knows that these things, I don't, in our 5 gigs, I don't count and tire. 1,000 gigs, I don't count and tire. Coach Richmond told me one day, he said, if I wake up today and I want to get a $2,000 gig today, I know what to do. He said, Young, I can prove it. Like $2,000 gig in one day, guy, forget, I go pray well to do am. I go pray finish, I no go still do am. You know why? Coach Richmond is in the 4th level. It's called mastery. That level of mastery is called unconscious competence. Now, I did not do something. Unconscious incompetence, you don't know that you don't know. Conscious incompetence, now you know that you don't know. So you begin to ask questions, you begin to learn, you begin to ask. Then conscious competence, you know that you know. At this point, you know that you know. It has to involve your consciousness to deliver. Then you get to the level where Coach Richmond is. Unconscious competence. You are too competent that you don't even know how much competent you are. That is, it has become second nature. You just wake up and you bid and it lands. For example, many of you may not even know that Coach Richmond has written a copy for Benz. Coach Richmond has written a copy as a copywriter for a company as big as Benz, for a car they were launching. One of the copies they used for launching that car was written by Coach Richmond. Guess how much? Over $5,000. So for you to be getting that kind of gig, you must have gotten to that level where you are so competent, you don't even know what you're doing. That a company like Benz reads your copy and they're like, damn, this is so good. And in your head, you're like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. You are so good that you don't even know that you are too good. That's the level of mastery. That you are not even conscious of how good you are. You are so good that you are not conscious again. Like, see how he wants to play free kick. You see the guy will just go back. You see the guy will just go back, he will just spread his leg, he will just come back and wire it into the net, and you just be like, you be winch. He's not a winch. The guy don't over sabi, he don't over sabi. Do you get? So yes, that's the journey. So understand where you are. Oyedeji, you are in number 2, where you are conscious that I don't know this thing and I want to know it. But you can still get to number 3. So what do? Invest a lot, learn a lot, study a lot. You will get to number 3. And just like Bob, Saviour Bob, you can also get to number 4. Stay on it. Go and look for people's copy. This person did a copy for Benz. Read it. Sit down, be studying that copy. Use that same copy. Do something for Toyota. Use that same copy. You will not know how much of that thing that you are soaking into yourself until it becomes a part of you. So that's what I'd like to say to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. I really appreciate that.
you.
Please, you mentioned something between conscious incompetent and conscious competent. You mentioned something that in between that, please. Yeah, well, don't worry.
Okay, let me just
I
run
get all
through
the
it.
points.
I know what he's asking of. Let me run through it. I know what he's asking.
Unconscious incompetent,
Okay,
conscious incompetent,
let me just
conscious
take note.
competent.
Take note.
But you mentioned
Take
something
note.
between
Take
incompetent and
note.
competent.
Wait. I've
No.
heard you. Wait. Let me say it. Okay. So unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know.
Yes.
Then conscious incompetence. You know that you don't know. Then conscious competence, you know that you know. Then the last one, unconscious competence. Now you don't even know that you know. Do you get it now?
I've gotten it. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So you don't know that you don't know. You know that you don't know. You know
Hmm.
that you know. And now
Hmm.
you don't know that you know.
That you know.
That's it.
Hmm. Thank you.
Yes. All right, you're welcome.
Mm. Sorry, Governor. Can I just say I'm seeing two questions here that I feel like I would like to answer before we finish. Okay, so Michael is asking, I still wonder how people submit proposals within 5 minutes of the client posting a job. So what happens is there are some people that use bots to on Upwork. If you read some of Upwork, if you watch most of their videos and you go online, you see that there are some people that actually use bots. So this bot basically composes a message for them, and then what it does is it sends it like the same way you receive spam in your email that you did not ask for. That's what this bot does for them. It does the sending in an automatic manner. Then somebody else said people probably have templates of proposals and easily tweak them as soon as they stumble on the posting. This is correct, but I stopped doing the template of proposals because I felt um, if you're following a template as much as it's good, it probably will not give you the results you're expecting. So what I normally advise is look at what the person's job post is about, understand the job post, and compose something from your heart and your head for that job post. Thank you.
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's how people in my party do.
Pack your car and go. I said, make them pack their car come.
All right, Coca, thank you. Sorry to interrupt you. Meanwhile, I wanted to confirm if we recognize the presence of Coach Richmond here. Okay.
Welcome, sir.
Okay. All right.
Welcome, coach.
Uh,
We really appreciate your presence.
Okay, I think he's around. I'm not sure he has something to say, but I just wanted to be sure if we recognize his presence here, that he was around. I just wanted to be sure. All right, so, all right, all right. So you can go ahead and wrap up the session.
It
Thank
was
you,
so.
Saviour. Thank you.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.